We're at Jerusalem now. I thought it was Arabia and a Babylonian city. Well, a lot in the Old Testament went down in Jerusalem related to idolatry and false gods and similar Babylonian practices. So it could be Jerusalem. Wait, what is she talking about? What kind of intro is that? Ba-ba-da-dun. We're at Revelation 17. I think it's right there. 17. And now we're shifting gears into whether or not Babylon the Great is actually Jerusalem and not the Babylon city in Saudi Arabia, like Dubai or some fancy smancy city like that. So, I'm gonna start in Revelation 17 verses 1 through 5 so we can understand what this means. The scarlet woman and the scarlet beast. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, "Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication. The inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication." And that leads us to verse 3. So let me read 3, 4, and 5. So he carried me away in the spirit. In the wilderness I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names, blasphemies, having which was full of heads, 7 heads, 10 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having her hand a golden cup full of abominations and filthiness, and her fornication, and on her forehead the name was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother harlot and of the abomination of the earth. Alright, what the heck is going on? And why do we think it's Jerusalem instead of a Babylonian city in Saudi Arabia or a Babylonian country? So what we got here is the horrors judged in another way, revealing more details. And actually, this would reveal details in the next chapter. But since we're going backwards, this reveals details that would come before what we just read last week. But the powers... The powers reign the Antichrist beast system. So this is the capital city of the Antichrist beast system. It's riding and joining and been manipulated by the beast. Now, the reason why I phrase it's been manipulated by the beast and coerced by the beast is to give you more argument for the fact that it's Jerusalem. Because the Jews and the Hebrews in ancient time past, in the biblical account, have been influenced and coerced by other nations, or they desired things that they thought God was withholding from them, and they ended up being steered away from God. So it is quite possible here that Jerusalem could be steered away from God once more, as if all the Old Testament and also New Testament Second Temple Judaism issues with idolatry, over legalistic issues, sects of Judaism, all these cults and stuff were just shadows and typologies pointing to when the Jews would yet again rebel from God in Jerusalem. If you think about it, Jerusalem is a religious hub. We got Islam, Christianity, Judaism. Excuse me, I got some marker on my finger. I was doing some biblical prayer art earlier, so excuse me for that. So we got all those three main religions. We got other religions. We got LGBTQ things are accepted. Abortion's accepted. Certain practices that Christians wouldn't accept are accepted. So if all that stuff's acceptable to them, what says worshiping a beast or following the beast system wouldn't be? So is it Roman? Is it Babylon? Is it Mecca? Or is it Jerusalem? So far the argument leads to Jerusalem. But let's read Revelation 17, 6 through 8 and see if we can see what else is going on here. I saw a woman drunk with the blood of the martyrs and with the blood of people of Jesus. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. But the angel said to me, why did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition, and those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names will not be written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. What does this mean? Alright, we're going away from the Jerusalem theory. We'll get back to whether or not the Babylon Mystery City is Jerusalem. Whether or not it is, we don't fully know yet. So, what? Everyone on earth will marvel at the beast, and then if they marvel at the beast, they won't be in the book of life. What is happening here? We will find out more details on what's happening here in Revelation 13 in a few weeks, but I'll give you the quick gist. The mark of the beast. The mark of the beast. We don't know what it is. I'm from the camp in the position that there is some literal thing that we take if we were to get the mark of the beast. I'm not taking it. No Christian should take it. It's either in your hand or on your forehead. I think that's literal. I'm from the persuasion that that's literal. And something about this mark, whether it's a biochip, a tattoo, or some kind of implant, it makes your mind completely change, completely submissive to the evil system that created it. And something in whatever it is makes you part like robot, android, AI. It doesn't make you human anymore. It somehow eliminates the human soul elements of you that makes it possible to be saved. I don't know. It's hard to explain in the spiritual realm of things. So what I got here is God ultimately is allowing all this. He's allowing Satan and whichever city it is to get influence, and he's allowing these 7 kings, I think this represents 7 nations, rise, and then he allows these 10 other nations, whether it's like 7 departments and 10 kingdoms, 7 kingdoms and 10 departments. We're not fully sure what the 7 and 10 are going to exactly be, but there's a complete system of rulers, and then there'll be a complete religious set of kings or kingdoms or countries. It could be 7 kings over 10 countries, or 10 systems that 7 rulers run. We don't know. God allows all this. He allows people to be sinful because he's been allowing sin and allowing all this for years. And at this point in time, with Satan and the city and all people, almost everyone except the believers are completely evil. At some point, all this ramps up and God's like, that's it. It's almost judgment time. Bring the judgments, the final battle, the brimstone and fire, whether it's atomic bombs, melting people, melting eyeballs, birds, whether they're demons. It's all mysterious. But this is allowed, and God allows it so far for Satan and all the evil people to ultimately destroy themselves and destroy the city, which ultimately I have reason to believe destroys most of the world, which is pretty nuts. God wants Israel to be saved, though. So, all this is happening, but stuff has to happen before. There has to be a revival to God that gets twisted and manipulated towards the beast. Now, if you've been around the news and in the minor Christian mainstream media, you've been hearing about how month after month after month they're getting closer to building temple number 3. And they're getting the heifers from Texas, all the materials are ready. Now they're working on splitting the Temple Mount, so the Arabs can go over here, and the Jews can go over here. They'll have like a slightly smaller temple, but they'll still have a temple. So they're starting to build this temple. Now, my pastor and some people I've researched and read and viewed about say that the 3rd temple is God's way of using the fact that sacrifices aren't really needed anymore. They're not really okay. They won't forgive their sins. He's using these unnecessary sacrifices that the Jews think are necessary to point them to Jesus. He's actually going to let them start sacrificing in the temple, and he's going to allow the Holy Spirit to come into some of their hearts so they realize, you know what, the Christians were right. God did send Jesus. He is Messiah. We were so wrong. We were so consumed by getting rid of the Romans, and we were so consumed by our forefathers and our ancestors lying about how Jesus' body was stolen, even though it never was. And you know, with all this archaeology going on right now, we never found a bone box of Jesus. They never made one. We haven't found a bone box. We found the bone box of Caiaphas. We found the bone box of a bunch of the biblical figures of the historical New Testament. Why didn't we find Jesus's or Yeshua's? And the people are going to come to Christ, and the beast is going to not have it, and he's going to ramp up the persecution. He's going to ramp up the evil, because if we look at the verses we just read, the harlot, Scarlet, Babylon, Mystery Babylon lady, she's drinking the blood of martyrs. So there's already martyrdom in Israel. There's people dying. There's people dying in other parts of the world. Nigeria is a big one right now. It's freaking scary. And there's a lot of people coming to Christ in Islamic nations, and then they end up being martyrs. But apparently there's going to be this mass martyrdom. And it seems like, if I'm from the persuasion that a lot of Jews are going to be saved through this 3rd temple, I think a lot of 3rd temple Messianic Jews that come to Christ and become believers, are going to get martyred. And it's going to cause the evil to ramp up. But also on the quieter side, I am sure there's going to be a lot more people coming to Christ as to see this. Because a lot of the Jews will come to Christ in the end. I don't know how. I don't get how God decides who's in the spiritual seed of Abraham. But yeah, let us continue so we can further our understanding by doing verses 9 through 12. Alright, 9 through 12. 9 through 12. I gotta find the 9. We ended on a paragraph. Oh, here we go. 9. It was easy. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. That's why they think it's Rome. There are also 7 kings. 5 have gone, 1 is, and another has not yet come. That's why also they think it's Rome. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. That's the Antichrist. The beast that was and is not, and himself also the 8th, and is the 7th. Oh, Antichrist and the false prophet, I'm thinking. That's where I'm persuaded. But this is advanced stuff. And is going to perdition. Oh, here we go. Is going to perdition. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. And now I'm going to continue to 13 through 15 because it's still in the same paragraph. These are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. That's where we get it. And those who are with him are called, chosen, and faithful. Then he said to me, the waters as which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations of tongue, every nation, tribe, and tongue kind of thing, nations and tongues. And 10 horns which you saw on the beast. These will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill the purpose in our mind and give the kingdom to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. Okay, I'm going to stop there. And we'll read the last couple verses after I explain. So, God is going to allow this city to be wiped out by its own people. But yet in the chapter that comes after this, the city gets blown up in 1 hour and the people mourn over it. Yet now we're seeing the kings wanted to destroy it. So it's a little dicey and confusing. Let me look at my notes, see if I can get some understanding for you and for me and for all of us. Serve the beast or serve the Lord. That's pretty straightforward. You either serve the beast or serve the Lord. I think in an attempt to destroy the believers in the city, a lot of the city is going to be desolate, and the evil's going to get so bad that they're going to be warring against each other, because eventually the people rise up against the Antichrist because they realize, oh, this is bad. I mean, they still kind of are into the beast, but they rise up against the Antichrist person. So they make war with the Antichrist to the point where they're destroying the city. And it's getting nuts and crazy. I talked about the third temple. I did all that. Hold on, let me see. Let's go down to 16 through 19 here. I read some of those verses. the people and kings follow the beast, but eventually the people turn on the kings because they don't like the way the kings run things. And it's weird how the kings only rule for 1 hour, and then later in the next chapter the city's destroyed in 1 hour. I think the beast lets them rule for 1 hour and then realizes the people don't like him, and then wars break out. Well, I think the beast is letting this all evil happen to destroy the world because the beast ultimately hates the world, but he's trying to control the people, and to the point where I think he ultimately manipulates them and manipulated them to destroy each other. And at first you think, oh, they're worshiping the beast wants their worship. Yeah, he still does, but I think it's getting so far into the end times that he's just going to destroy him. See, and it's like, is it World War III? Because here in my notes it says, the beast eventually betrays the city. And that's why the people attack the city. Because some of the people are against the beast and are against the kings. But there is a group of people still loyal to the beast that betray the city with him. And that's why there's like a World War III scenario going on here. Is it World War III? I don't know. Is it going to be World War IV, 5, 6, and we're going to be around longer than we think? Maybe, but I'm in the persuasion that we are pretty dang close to this. Let's see, I think I'm going to wrap up this chapter and see what else I got in my notes to explain the rest of this. So I was on verse 19. And the woman whom you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. Oh, I only had one verse yet left. Okay, I thought there was more. Okay, I'm gonna explain it. Let me get my notes in front of me now, because we got some more things here. The harlot is a false religious political system. We established this last week, and we're establishing it further this week because of the whole religious hub. That's why people are in the persuasion that it's Jerusalem or the Roman Empire because of the Vatican City. We're not sure. Most people are leaning towards the scholarly persuasion that it's somewhere in the Middle East, whether it's an actual Babylonian city named Babylon, Dubai in Saudi Arabia, or Jerusalem. So we're not sure. All we know is it's a religious political power. Why I'm saying this again is because at some point this religious political power is getting attacked by some of the people, and there's martyrdom and there's sin so much that the evil ramps up, and for some reason the beast betrays this political religious power. I think it may have something to do with the Jews and the third temple, them coming to Christ, and the beast is realizing that some people aren't being manipulated, because when it comes to the beast, when it comes to Satan, he wants everyone. If I'm going down, I'm taking all these people with me. And since he's not getting everybody, he betrays, and eventually we run into the obliteration of this city. So the 7 heads are, I put 7 values of the beast system, or 7 territories of the beast system. We're not fully sure what the 7 heads are, because there's 7 hills in Rome, but the persuasion that most people are leaning towards now is Middle East. There could be 7 nations. We're not sure. There's 7. There's a complete unit of something, because 7 is the number of completion. So there's a complete political religious unit. Now we know the 10 kings, or the 10 horns are 10 kings. So there's 10 world leaders, or 10 beast advocate, or 10 department heads of this political religious system. And I don't know why the beast only has them running things right now. Maybe it's the beast's last or another version of his attempt to manipulate the people, bring them back to worship, rein them in together in these territories, the Middle East, trying to get people to submit to the central hub and the beast's system and the harlot, and then the beast just goes crazy and destroys the city, and eventually world destruction and World War III or whatever world war. It's gonna be a world war. It's gonna be a world war. Because there's a lot of war language in Revelation, and Jesus talks about wars and rumors of wars, and there is a final battle. We know that. And finally, what I got here for the academic stuff, Jesus will destroy the beast. So with all this turmoil and trying to figure out whether it's Jerusalem, Dubai, Babylon, Vatican City, do the kings reign for an hour, the seven heads, 7 kingdoms, 7 values, 7 departments. I mean, we could go on and ramble about the theories of this Revelation 17 and chapters after it forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Just know that if you're pre-trib, no, I'm kidding. My pastor would do, if you're pre-trib, you're wrong. Oh my gosh, I am a post-trib person who is totally trying not to have a pre-trib mindset. Whether or not you believe the pre-trib rapture, mid-trib rapture, inter-year, like 6-year rapture, post-trib, whether the millennium happens after the 7 years, whether or not you kind of need to have a post-trib mindset. Why? Because if we're here during the tribulation, we still have the job of witnessing to people and keeping the church going. If we all had a pre-trib mindset as far as it better be, we'd give up on our jobs, give up on our lives, we wouldn't have as, passionate churches if we'd just be sitting in the sanctuary going, okay. And then you'd wake up every day with a Bible and a newspaper in your hand going, you coming yet? I think the tribulation's now. Come on. But my temptation as a post-trib person, I've switched from pre-trib to post-trib. I've never been about that mid-trib stuff. Why would the rapture happen in the middle of this? It's either we endure all of it or none of it. Like, I don't know. I get some of the views, but I am a post-trib person, and I try to have that post-trib gospel-spreading mindset, but I'm tempted to have the pre-trib mindset, because, like, sometimes the struggles and hang-ups I have in my life, I'm, like, looking up, like, I want to get out of here. We got to get out of here. But I digress. So I have 2 questions for you before we go. Are you ready if the tribulation starts now? And do you trust that God will do what he does whether or not you hold certain positions? Now, this passage and other chapters of Revelation tell us that if we are true believers, we have submitted to Christ, and we draw our strength from him, we will be ready. We ain't gonna take that mark. We ain't gonna marvel at the beast longer than our flesh allows, because the Holy Spirit in us will be like this angel and say, ha, stop. And the lesson is, whatever we think, whatever chronology we have about this, God's in control. He's got this. And eventually we will be in whatever, a free 1,000-year reign with Christ here, or we'll be with him in heaven dead, or we will be in a new earth. Whatever happens, we're going to be with Jesus. Even though I'm a human, I will admit, in the flesh, I have my positions. So that's it for Revelation 17. We will do Revelation 16 next week. Like, subscribe, comment, share if you feel like this was helpful and relatable and biblically, spiritually educational. Thank you and goodbye.